Yeah, what's happening? We about to bring that action. Gotta hold it down for my Seattle Kraken. Hey, we going beneath the waves. We going beneath the waves. Get it hype, step onto the ice. Ready for some action. Release the Kraken. Hey, we going beneath the waves. Going beneath the waves.
What is up, everyone? Welcome into the Beneath the Waves podcast, your weekly source of all things Seattle Kraken and beyond. I am Matt.
I'm Heather.
I'm Derek.
And I'm Alex.
And this is episode 11 of the BTW pod. And as always, we want to welcome in all our friends, old and new. Huge thank you to everyone who's joined us on this journey so far. Dropped a follow, left a review on the podcast app of your choice. If you haven't done so yet, please go in to the team page, our show page, and drop a review. It'd mean the world for us. It'd be our own little Christmas miracle. We got an absolutely loaded show for you once again today. Recaps probably a little thin. We're not feeling so great about this team, spoiler alert, but we're still going to do our regular game recaps. We're going to check in with Coachella Valley, and no sound table this week because it is the holiday season and because this is dropping on December 23rd. We are going to have us a little KRAKTIVUS, a gathering of our squad and some special guests to air some grievances surrounding the Seattle Kraken this year. But before we get into that, Heather, what all happened on the news front this week with our Kraken?
Have a lot of news again this week. One big piece of news, but I'm going to save it to the end because I'm worried that if I start with it, I will get too distracted by it and not get back to the rest of the news. So we're going to start with injury updates. And the first one is about Jordan Eberle. So we know he had pelvis surgery and was not slated to even begin to start to walk for 6 weeks, but he was spotted at Climate Pledge Arena on Tuesday during the Senators game. So really happy to see him up and moving, getting that process started towards coming back and rehabbing and all that good stuff. Also, Brandon Tanev was rocked in one of the games, and so he did not play against the Avs. So we just hope that Turbo gets well soon because we definitely need his chaos on the ice. In news of moving players, we also sent Mitchell Stevens and Ryan Winterton back down to Coachella, but we did bring up forward Ben Myers and defenseman Gustav Olofsson. So playing a little bit of Tetris here with lines and players, especially with the big news I'll talk about in a second. But nice to see those guys up here. I think they've earned some time in the NHL. Matty Beniers played his 200th NHL game Tuesday the 17th against the Senators. So big congrats to Matty. It seems like it couldn't be 200 already. So it kind of blew my mind to see that, but big congrats to him. But let's go to the big news. So on Wednesday, December 18th, the Kraken traded defenseman Will Borgen, a 2025 third round pick and a 2025 sixth round pick to the New York Rangers for forward Kakko. Ron Francis said, when you lose your captain in Jordan for 3 months, that leaves a hole in your lineup. So we've been kind of kicking tires and looking at things. And this one just came along and made sense for both teams. He also said he wanted to tell Will Borgen about the trade face-to-face. So they talked the day before, and Ron said there's never a good time for this. Today's his birthday, so you're wishing him a happy birthday and a Merry Christmas, and you're telling him he's been traded. This is a brutal business when stuff like that happens. It is a business, but I do want to give a couple of thoughts that I have, and then I'll let everyone else chime in. But it's really hard to lose an OG Kraken. You know, we're a young franchise, and these players feel like our players are Kraken players, and it always kind of feels like a personal gut punch to lose one, no matter how they're performing on the ice. And I think a lot of fans, you know, myself included, I think all of us get attached to these players, especially our OGs. You know, we get attached to their personalities and all they've done for the team over the years. You know, and Will Borgen's one of those. We can't forget his legendary Winter Classic goal. You can't help but think about Matty Beniers losing his roommate, and we're going to miss John Forsland's calls of belligerent Bill. That's just all from a personal standpoint. You know, we like the guy as a person. And if I'm using emotion, which I think we're all allowed to do from time to time when it comes to sports, I mean, you'll often see me tweeting about how I swear I'm not actually crying over sports again, even though I'm totally crying over sports again. But I just want to say from us and like from the team and the fan base, thanks to Will Borgen for just being our OG, one of our OGs. And I hope he does well on the Rangers. Like, good for him going to a team where, you know, potentially he could maybe go to the playoffs. I don't know. If I'm looking at it from a team and a business standpoint, I get this move 100%. And it's no reflection on Borgen as a human. Okay. Just want to say that he's had a tough year this year. You know, some of the big stats site had him last on the team, either in expected goals or in game score. He's been a lot less belligerent and less likely to throw hands than he once did. And I think, you know, part of that is we signed Brandon Montour this offseason. He lost his defensive pairing with Jamie Oleksiak, and Mahura has been totally fine being that sixth defenseman. He was an unrestricted free agent at the end of the season, and unfortunately, I just don't think that the Kraken were going to re-sign him. It also saves $300,000 in cap space, which helps for like when and if Eberle can come back this season. So to get Capo Capo, a younger player, hopefully help with playmaking, and he's a good defensive winger. I think it makes a lot of sense. He wasn't developing well with the Rangers. It didn't seem like a good environment for him. So I'm hopeful that we, as like the Kraken, can do better by him. And there's time for development. It's going to be interesting to see how he does. And he hasn't yet done a full practice with the team, so it'll be interesting to see. But I did want to mention that with Will Borgen moving, we only have 9 original Kraken players: Joey Decord, Vince Dunn, Jordan Eberle, Cale Fleury, Yanni Gourde, Adam Larson, Jared McCann, Jamie Oleksiak, and Brandon Tanev. So just wanted to point that out. But I'm going to let you all weigh in on the trade because I've talked enough.
I'll speak as maybe the least informed of people outside the Kraken organization in terms of players that aren't named Connor McDavid and Sidney Crosby and people like that. The biggest thing that jumped out to me about this Kakko fella was him being a second overall pick back in 2019 when he was in that draft. I think it's a pretty big deal to have someone drafted that high on your roster, even if the talk about him is that he hasn't been performing up to his potential. I did see a tweet about that the Kraken now have 4 players on the roster who were drafted in the top 4, with Maddie, Shane, now Kakko, and Adam Larson. So that's a pretty good roster feature, I think. We got to see today that he's actually going to score, or at least he started scoring already, which is awesome. And I do think that seeing Josh Mahura get more full time on the ice opposed to hanging out in the press box is really good. I think he's earned that spot, so I'm happy to see him playing as well. The one thing that stood out to me in what Heather just read there from Ron Francis's comment, and I've seen parts of that, like they get snippet into a tweet or an Instagram post, things like that. But him saying that we've been kicking tires is just hilarious to me because I don't know if we're kicking tires in relation to just trying to find a spot to fill in the absence left by Jordan Eberle's shattered pelvis, or if that's just a metaphor for how the team's doing right now. Because holy moly, Ron Francis is just at the junkyard kicking every tire he sees and saying, this one's good. And
It
just
doesn't make any player sound good when he says
no,
that, right?
it's horrendous.
Terrible.
So, I mean, good on you, Ron. When I want to make sure that my tires look good to drive to work, I give him a kick in the garage too. But maybe with our team, we put a little more pizzazz into our statements and get a little more hyped.
Yeah, you also, yeah, like you said, Matt, you definitely wonder how long he's had that mentality because it's kind of a window into his brain as to how he's been seeing the team. So I wonder when that started. That's a really good point. Really just want to echo what Heather said. Like, I don't think I could say like basically what she said better. So I'm just gonna kind of pretty much second that. I think there's 2 different halves to it, right? There's like the business, the trade, and then like the emotional, the player attachment. The player attachment, I remember being at the Winter Classic, seeing Borgie score there. That was awesome. Will Borgen was like my favorite player on the Kraken last year, actually. When I went to Ice Crew tryouts, I said he was my favorite player. Defensive defenseman, you got to love those guys. As Heather said, his play significantly dropped off this year. And really with Kakko, it's just like he's making 2.4 mil. He's a former second overall pick. He's a restricted free agent in 2025. So like we get to decide whether or not we want to move forward with him after seeing a little bit of a trial here. It's a really, really, really smart move. Straight up the business side. The emotional side, of course, I think everyone will miss Will Borgen. And of course he is an OG. And like Heather said about 8 OGs left from that list, I think only like 6 of those players were like actually there playing on an opening night. Unless Cale Fleury was, then it would then I think it would be 7. But yeah, really just starting to dwindle off. And that kind of sucks. I mean, obviously the inaugural season team was absolute cheeks. Um, but it does kind of suck seeing these guys leave. And I remember watching in the inaugural season and being like, these guys aren't all going to be here forever. And it's crazy that now in our 4th season, we're starting to really see that really hard. But yeah, I mean, hopefully it ushers in good positive change, and I hope the best for Will Borgen over in New York. Again, he's 28, and what is Kakko, like 23, 24? So I think this move is like an absolute like needle in a haystack find for Ron. And really because of what Kakko was doing with the New York organization, he really leveraged him kind of speaking out about New York in a very positive way for the Kraken, in my opinion.
So here's me the night before, absolutely ripping apart Mr. Ron Francis, telling him to grow a pair. That our only action that he's ever taken was to trade for one Daniel Sprong, who currently resides in the press box eating Cheerios and whatever. And then, next day, all of a sudden, get this little message being like, "Hey, Capo Caco." What do you mean, Capo Caco? Like, oh, shut up, Kraken Canada. Look at that. Ron made a trade. Honestly, I love the move. Nothing towards Borgen at all. His numbers got slashed. Maher has really come in and taken over that bottom two defensive role. So Borgen's kind of been on the out, so to speak. And with him being an unrestricted free agent come the summer, they weren't going to re-sign him. So you might as well cut your losses and see what you can acquire for, get for him at this time. The fact that we were able to get Capo Caco, who is, as Matt's mentioned, a second overall pick in 2019, who hasn't really lived up to the hype, but there is still lots that can be developed there. So the way I look at it is that it's a home run for Francis and the Kraken. That's another young player who has this year, and then he's one more year of control, and then it starts to change. But when you look at it, you gave up a defenseman who was probably not going to stay with the organization, a third round pick and a sixth round pick. To me, when you look at where the Kraken are at and you see what we need to do, it's not a desperation trade. It's we just need to do anything at this point, and we're hoping that this is one of those trades that if you throw it at the wall, you're hoping that it sticks. Capo's already scored his first goal for the Kraken against the Avalanche. Unfortunately, we didn't win, but we saw some progress there. So at the end of the day, hopefully Francis can continually make these types of trades that can better us for the future, because right now, not a lot's working for us. So yeah, I'd rate this like a B plus. Like it's a solid trade, and I'd never think in a million years that Capo Caco would be a Seattle Kraken.
He's just got such a fun name, Capo
Oh,
Caco.
do you know how many times I sat there when he got traded and it was like, was it Caco Capo? I'm like, no, that's wrong. It's Capo Caco. And then I just kept on repeating it over and over and over again. I'm like, that is fun to say.
All right, well, that'll about do it for our positivity today, because we're about to roll into our vibe check, which I'm going to implore us to be as brief as possible, because I'm sure if we all had our moment on our soapbox, this would be the longest podcast recording in Spotify history of how miserable we're feeling right now. I'm going to just jump in and open things and say this week stunk. Not only did it stink for the Kraken, as we'll get to it soon, it stunk for the Firebirds. We weren't. It wasn't it. I don't even have the words for what's going on. I want to go kick some tires after the Kraken hockey that we experienced this week. Not because I'm checking on the quality, but because that's the only way I can actively think to vent out my frustrations with this hockey team, which I had blindly and with full dedication committed my entire life and existence to, apparently. Not pretty. We had a couple nice milestones that we'll talk about in a little bit here that were hit. So that's just like the razor thinnest silver lining that I can take from this week. But she's not pretty.
Since it's the holidays, could I say stink, stank, stunk like the Grinch? Because that's kind of what this week was about. I don't even know what to say anymore. I wish I had something I could point to be like, this is it. But there's so many things that it's really getting hard to pinpoint. And then it's also getting a little hard to watch and feel optimistic while we're watching. And I think that's what's really disheartening right now. A lot of feels like giving up at times, and I really hate to see that. So just a really rough week. I mean, I don't ever give up on this team. This is my team. What can you do? But like it's really difficult right now to find the positivity.
The Kraken are an absolute pile of malarkey. I don't know if this team could be more of a disappointment. It's like studying for a test really hard and getting the big fat F, at the end when they graded it. Like it's just disappointment altogether. I don't know what they're gonna do. I don't know how they're gonna fix it. They're not gonna fix my mood. I'm supposed to be in a holiday, festive spirit, and they just keep raining on my parade. So tis the season to be joyful, but if you're a Kraken fan, tis the season to be absolutely disappointed because this ain't Kraken hockey, baby. This is Kraken hockey, unfortunately.
I'm actually feeling pretty good. A couple weeks ago, a couple weeks back, probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago now, we saw that the Money Puck had the Kraken at like 65% playoff odds. So I have no doubt that we'll be in that postseason, baby. Contending for that Stanley Cup, you know what I'm saying? Don't look at the numbers now, okay? Just trust the numbers from like 3 weeks ago. No, I actually did have some sort of like an eye-opening event recently when I was playing some drop-in hockey, where I was really just talking to one of my friends, and I'm like, hey, let's just basically let's just chill and just watch hockey and have fun. And there's nothing we can do really to it's not like we can petition Ron Francis to do anything that we actually want. So all the anger is kind of getting wasted. I understand people need to get their frustration out, but in terms of me personally, I'm taking a more chill approach right now. And I also just wanted to say that right now there's probably like the most massive finishing issue that the Kraken have ever experienced in the last 4 games, which were all losses this week. Um, we had like 11 expected goals and only scored 5. So not looking good. So in terms of the roster, but right now, if you want to ask me like what I'm feeling about this team, I'll say in about 3 years, I think this team will be really good. That's what I'm gonna say. So
That's so
that's my
long to
that's my
wait and
vibe
commit.
check.
So long.
We're gonna put this into the 3-year time capsule and come back and revisit it. Post-it notes going on my wall. Well, as we've said, the week was not great for games, so we're just gonna quick hit them here, hit some highlights, hit some notable moments. Derek, why don't you take us through game 33 that was against the Senators?
Yeah, game 33 was a very depressing one, Matt, because we streamed it and it was our first stream loss. We are no longer a good luck charm for the Kraken. Perhaps we are a bad luck charm for the Kraken. I don't know. It might be. It might be so. You're saying it ain't so. Are you guys all
No,
saying it ain't so
we're
right
all
now?
saying it's not. So
Yeah, absolutely
Okay.
not.
we're
All
still the
right. I'll
four
take
leaf
your
Question
guys'
mark.
word.
bluebird.
All right. But it was our first regulation loss on stream. So we are now 7-1-2. But thanks to everyone who came, seriously, who came and watched. That was awesome. There have been like an uptick in the amount of people showing up and chatting throughout the game, and that's awesome because it's very similar to the way it was last year, where we had like conversation throughout the game in the chat. It makes the games a lot better for everyone, especially us. That's like why we do. I don't. That's kind of like why I like doing this is because of that. I don't know about you guys. But I think it makes it more fun for everyone that tunes in and for us, like when there's like just an active chat, that's awesome. The only positive of this game was that it was Maddie's 200th career NHL game, but it was a 3-0 loss, and there really wasn't much. Oh, I also want to note this was William Borgen's last game as a Seattle Kraken, with a caveat for now. Okay, maybe when he's like 32 or 33, we pick him up. It's some kind of Justin Schultz type thing, and then he goes off to Europe or something. It's
Retires
for
after
now.
8 games in the Swiss League.
It's not goodbye, it's see you later, basically.
I can't wait for us to sign Will Borgen to a 7-year, $50 million contract at 30 years old so you can get your Christmas wish that you just made there.
When the
Ron
cap is like 350 mil, maybe.
Ron Francis, come on down.
Next game was game 34 versus the Chicago Blackhawks. This was a 3-1 loss. Just an ugly game all around. Like, I just don't know what else to say. They came out the gate like super lackluster, and it just kind of stayed that way. In fact, during the first intermission, Yanni Gord had just the most brutal interview when they asked how the period went, and he was like, it was unacceptable. It was awful. It was just a terrible game. There were so many turnovers. That's pretty much what it was. But it was Kaapo Kakko's first game as a Kraken. He was on the top line with Jared McCann and Matty Beniers, so we did a little line switching up to get him in there. Only goal was from Riker Evans. Great passes from Bjorkstrand and Montour, though, on that one. Just couldn't pull out the win. We made attempts, but it was sort of too little too late. So a little bit better, at least as far as effort goes, but still just not a great game. And I think that the whole team felt that and knew that.
And the next game was game 35 against the Vegas Golden Knights in a 6-2 loss. All that positive that we were bringing back, in that Chicago Blackhawks game dissolved very quickly, like a Thanos snap, very quickly. But happy birthday, Big Rig. 600 games behind the bench for Dan Bylsma, another milestone there. Vince Dunn scored on the power play early in the first period with assists from Bjorkstrand and Stevenson, who decided to do the Spider-Man meme and point at each other and get their 200th career assist for both players. So that was kind of cool. Then our second goal of the game was also scored on the power play, but it was long and way over at that point. And that was courtesy of one Jaden Schwartz knocking in a Shane Wright rebound. This goal also made for a 2-point night for Stevenson in his first game back to Vegas. This game was lackluster. It was boring. It was pathetic. The Kraken didn't show up. And, well, that's another 2 points lost, and nobody really expected us to win it because why would we?
And then lastly, we have game 36. This one was a fresh wound for our team here. We hit record mere minutes after this game ended. Game 36 against the Colorado Avalanche, which was a 5-2 loss. Better-ish showing by the Kraken, but it just seemed to slip away. We got some points on the board, which you can never be super upset with. The first Kraken goal came from Jared McCann. Shane Wright and Yanni Gourde had an excellent little passing sequence going up the boards. Shane skated it up, dumped it behind at the blue line to Yanni, who sent it right back to Shane, who found Canner sitting net front and slammed it past Mackenzie Blackwood. This goal got Yanni in with that elite club of having 200 NHL assists, so we love that milestone there as well. The second Kraken goal was from our newest member, Kakko. We love to see that, him getting his name on the score sheet for his new club. Following an offensive zone faceoff win by Matty Beniers, Kakko threaded the needle between the ref's legs, and it got past Blackwood. Really stopped from there. There was one scary moment in the game where Joey seemed to take a really weird shot. It hit him like right in the crook of the elbow. Is that what you call that little part? Like the elbow pit? We're gonna say the crook. Nope.
Crook of the elbow.
Yeah.
That's
the
better.
elbow pit.
Thank you.
The elbow
pit is unacceptable.
Elbow pit.
In the crook of his elbow, and it just must have hit a nerve or something really weird that stung. He dropped down, had to get helped, or he didn't get helped off the ice, but the trainer came out. We took a little commercial break, and then he headed out there. But luckily for us, he did return to the game and play it the full way through. There was a lot of things on the KHN broadcast. Edzo was getting super upset anytime there was some sort of face-off debacle happening. Really that's the thing that he latched onto and ran into the ground. And there was a lot of confusion as well with when Joey was heading to the bench, leading to one of those tail end goals as well that Edzo was not too pleased about. So just maybe Edzo needs to get into Ronnie's ear to let him know what's up, because he seems to know what the issues are. All right, and with that review in the bag, we're going to change gears here, and we are having our first ever KRAKTIVUS as the BTW family. Those unfamiliar, Festivus is a gathering together of friends and family to air grievances about things that have made them upset. And for our KRAKTIVUS gathering, we are airing our grievances about our beloved Seattle Kraken. Heather, do you want to kick us off?
I'd love to. I have a lot of problems with the Kraken, but I'm only going to share one because otherwise I think we'd be here all night. My biggest grievance with the Kraken right now is just the lack of fight in every game. Like, they cannot fight for a full 60 minutes. They give up. They go down by 1-2, and then the game seems to be over for them. They phone it in. They're just done. And I am really tired of it, because one of the things I loved about this team from the very beginning was always fighting, always finding a way to potentially come back. Even if they were down by 5, it didn't matter. They were fighting to the very end. They were going to score another goal or at least get super close. And I do not see that this season. I didn't see it last season, and I'm really getting tired of it. So that is my main grievance with the Kraken. And lucky for us, we also had some friends send in some audio clips for us too. So I'm going to now let you listen to Mike and Nicole's grievance. They're part of the Sasquatch family, and they have their own Festivus grievances too.
What's up, Beneath the Waves podcast? It's Mike, aka Sasquatch NHL, and I'm here with lovely wife Nicole.
Hello.
And thank you for inviting us to be part of your Kraken airing of grievances section on your podcast. We have a lot of them, but we're going to keep it short. We'll just do a couple, actually maybe just one each. We'll see. But thanks for inviting us. We're going to let Nicole go first. Nicole, you've got a lot of things on your mind regarding the Kraken that annoy you. What's your number one?
Well, it's obvious they must think they have an invisible friend out there or something, because they keep hitting the puck out to nobody. And then when they actually do shoot the puck to somebody, it's the belly of the goalie. What is going on there? Why can't they shoot in the corners, or at least try to hit it somewhere where there isn't a big fat wall in front of them?
Yeah, they tend to hit the crest of the jersey a lot.
Yeah,
and
it's
a lot
ridiculous.
of turnovers. Yeah, so when I sit next to Nicole at games, like I get to hear this a lot. Like, who are you passing to?
There's nobody there!
Why aren't you shooting it to the corner of the net? So that's definitely number one for her. I'm going to go off the ice for mine, and it's the ice cream machine and the line.
Oh, gosh.
It's ridiculous, you
There's
guys.
3 locations. There's all long.
If you go to a Kraken game and you want to get ice cream, you've really got to strategize, figure it out ahead of time, because the lines are ridiculous, and you end up paying a lot, and it's a long wait. And
They
so
run out of chocolate, too, by the third period.
yeah, can't even get a swirl by the end of the game. It's ridiculous. Okay, so that's my number one. That's all we got. Thanks for having us. We'll talk to you guys soon. Keep up the great work over at Beneath the Waves. See ya.
Massive thank you to Mike and Nicole from the Sasquatch family for giving us those grievances. I'm going to pick things up now, and I have a quick series of grievances related to the Seattle Kraken and just slightly Seattle Kraken adjacent. First, I got a bone to pick with Rogers Sportsnet. So up here in Canada, in order to be able to watch all of these games legally, at least, Alex and I have to subscribe to something called Sportsnet Plus to give us access to every single NHL game, in addition to other things as well. And I gotta say to Rogers Sportsnet, if I'm dishing out 200 plus Canadian dollars a year, that's like $17,000 US with how garbage our dollar is right now. Paying to use your package to watch every single sports game, I feel that I should have the option to choose what feed that I want to watch. Every time when we load up a game, especially the stream games, it's a coin toss if we're going to get KHN or if we're going to get some other bum network that I don't want to listen to see what Matt Rempe's dog did that week at home, because that's the only thing they have to talk about with the Rangers right now. We all know the Kraken Hockey Network is the place to be, but I'm at the mercy of whatever Rogers Sportsnet provides. And more often than not, like I said, it is listening to some god-awful New York or Boston accent talking about the game of hockey, and I don't want to hear that anymore. I want to hear John, JT, Edzo, Piper, Allison, all of those guys. Secondly, I believe that it was Kraken owner Macklemore who once said,
"Limited edition, let's do some simple addition. $50 for a t-shirt, that's just some ignorant. I call that getting swindled and pimped. I call that getting tricked by business. That shirt's hella dope."
Kraken, I want you to take note from your ownership group and recognize that the prices you have in your official team store are absolutely ludicrous. But you know where there's not ridiculous prices? bit.ly/BTW store, where this New Year's you can save, I don't know what percent it is, but we got a New Year's sale coming up. So if you get a little Christmas money in your stocking from Santa, spend it on a Monty Mania shirt. Okay, now for my actual Kraken grievance. I think that we have one of the dopest uniform setups in the league, especially with our dark home jerseys. However, I need this team to get a third jersey. From my incredibly brief research that I did before this, there are 13 teams that do not have a third jersey, but 3 of those teams just got fresh sets all of this year. I want our team to have a new look to inspire some excitement. Get the fans jazzed about something, because the playing just is not it. We all agree the Winter Classic looks were absolutely amazing, but I think those are special. We need to put them away for last year. That was like a one-time thing. We don't bring those back. Reverse retros, those are fine, but we know that those were cursed and just awful juju to have on the ice. I don't think that our AHL team should have a better jersey than us, because have you seen the Firebirds Red Alert jerseys? That palm tree design is absolutely unreal. That look is absolutely amazing, and all I need to do is win $15 million on the Lotto Max up here in Canada to be able to afford one up here. Please, Kraken higher-ups, give me a nice ice blue Anchor logo sweater and just watch those things fly off the shelf. And off of that, we have another guests, plural, in fact, as Chris and Jim from the Kraken Fancast let us know what their KRAKTIVUS grievances are this year.
Hey there, it's Chris Porter and Jim Cockrell from Kraken Fancast. Hello to everybody listening to Beneath the Waves. want to thank Derek for reaching out to us and asking our opinion on the theme here, grievance. What grievance do we have that's regarding the Kraken? What are we feeling about that? What are we bummed out about, Jim? What's missing here? What are
Whoa.
we cranky about?
Well, hey, thank you for involving us in this question of grievances, the crew over there. Um, this is a loaded question. It was kind of hard to break down, to be honest with you. So I tried to single it down to one grievance since I'm familiar with that word in union structure. Um, if we go back, I'm going to try to keep this reasonably short. If we go back over the history of the team, it's really been a question between fans when it gets kind of not good is what is our team identity? And so you take that and you break it down. It's like, what is it? In the early days, when you'd have interviews against other clubs, you'd hear things like, well, they're fast and they're hard to play against. I bring that forward to today with the new system or new coaches, whatever. We're fast. Are we hard to play against? I don't believe so. I guess if you could pick it down to one thing, there's many problems within, especially lately. I would have to say the thing that keeps coming back to my mind that I've kind of been squawking about for at least 3 years is team toughness and size and strength, and our forward group being small. It's one of the smallest on paper, both height and weight, and it has been. It shows. Some people aren't stepping up to the plate a lot of times to back up players when they're in trouble. There's a few that always come up, Gord, Tanev, Karts, and Dunn. There's other players that should be involved. And, if you've got a reputation as being a bit soft in the league, it shows and they know, and they'll take it to you in their game plan. So in general, that's kind of my vibe that I've been getting all along is where is the team toughness when it's needed? And
You want them to have this tough identity, and they just don't have it.
I do, and the other teams know this, and it's a small team, and they get rubbed out big time every time the big clubs come into town. You can see it; it's happening.
Oh,
on
yeah,
a
you and
regular
I are
basis.
sitting there sometimes, Jim. We're like, man, look at these are a bunch of big boys coming in.
Oh yeah,
Oh my God, what's going to happen here? When you say, St. Louis Blues a couple of years ago, and somebody came in the other day, and it was like, whoa,
yeah.
yeah, it is that feeling. And I wholeheartedly 100% agree with everything you just said, Jim. I think the only thing I'd add, and I think in a way it plays into this indirectly, is lack of consistency. Lack of consistency in certain aspects of the game, in scoring, defense, whatever, winning. I mean, look, probably half the teams in the NHL have a consistency issue, and you go through that. You have highs and lows throughout the season. It's a marathon, of course, but some can, you can rely on certain, pluses of their game consistently throughout most of the season. And this team has been such a streaky team. Actually, since they started, they have been, like win 4, lose 5, win 3, lose, and it just kind of, and we saw that with, we're like, okay, they're going down the hill there, losing to San Jose and Anaheim. There was that awful week. And then boom, gangbusters again. And now, as we record this, they've been flipping up and lost to the Chicago Blackhawks the other day. So it's just this roller coaster, which I think in an indirect way plays to what you're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, so if we're going to be this where we're at right now, the rest of the year, down low in the standings, uh, you can't do much more with the cap issues and this and that. Strive for something. Strive for toughness. Strive for something that hasn't been there. How you're going to achieve it, I don't know. It usually involves players. Is there going to be player moves down the line? Probably. Who knows? But that's the only thing I could single out that we could try to work on right now somehow over all the other scoring droughts, defensive blunders, this type of thing. So that's all I got on that.
Right on. All right. Well, cheers. That's what we got there beneath the waves, folks. Thanks again for asking us to be on here. Cheers. And as always, go Kraken.
Happy holidays.
Massive thanks to Chris and Jim for airing those grievances. Loved having that insight from the Kraken Fancast. Next up, we have Joey Cirillo from the Kraken Pod. He's going to let us know what he's upset with the Kraken this season.
Hello. This is Joey Cirillo from the Kraken Pod. Merry Kraken Festivus for the rest of us. And let me tell you a little something about my biggest grievance. I have with the Seattle Kraken. And unfortunately, as the way things are going this season, I have a handful of grievances, but I am only going to stick to one. And that is my issue with their consistency. I've been trying to earmuffs. I've been banging the drum for 2 years on the inconsistency of this team. And that is my biggest grievance with them, is that they can never be consistent. When you think they're going to win, they lose. When you think they're going to lose, sometimes they lose, but most of the times they win. It's super frustrating. We call it the Kraken coaster over here at the Kraken Pod. And while it is fun to ride the Kraken coaster, buckle up and take the ride. You must be this tall. Sometimes I just want to sit in the teacups. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes I just want to enjoy myself and have a family friendly fun time. And the Kraken make that very hard to do. So despite my grievances, I still love this team. Thankful for the break that we get from the Seattle Kraken. Go Kraken.
I'm going to take over here now. My first one, people have been calling me the villain of the pod lately. And I want to redirect to the actual villain of the pod, which is Alex, or at Kraken Canada, to get some of this heat off my back. My first KRAKTIVUS complaint, and I'm getting a little joyful talking about these grievances, so I might be the Grinch of Kraken Christmas. But my first grievance here is that people like Alex last year told me that all of this was Dave Hackstall's fault, and that he was no better than a bottle of bleach, and that if we replaced Dave Hackstall, we'd be good. And we are still not good, and under Dave Hackstall is the only time that this roster has made the playoffs. That's my first grievance. My second grievance is that this team does not do nearly good enough for the amazing broadcast crew that we have, as Matt alluded to. John Forsland alone is one of the most hyped broadcasters ever. And the fact that we are wasting his time, or sorry, we're not wasting his time. The fact that the team that we support, the Kraken, are wasting the time that we have with him, not generating enough hype plays for him to constantly make hype calls is so sad. I wish we had like a dozen hype John Forsland goal calls every single game. My favorite call is it's hack 'em and whack 'em time or whatever he says. That's awesome. I love that. So those are my two grievances. But now I want to throw it to an absolute legend, Chet Buchanan, the in-arena announcer for the Kraken. He has, as well as a very good impression from the show Seinfeld that I never watched because I'm not a boomer like everybody else here. He has a very good KRAKTIVUS segment.
Just one thing for KRAKTIVUS. Like the great Frank Costanza once said, I got a lot of problems with you people, and now you're going to hear about it. No, I get 5 got to let it go down to 1. Back in 2022, when we made the playoffs and made that incredible run, we had a lot of puck luck. We had a lot of things bounce our way. And it feels like every single time there's a great scoring chance, the puck jumps over the stage. The other night against Ottawa, Joey, let it, what? You would have made those saves. Well, the guy had the breakaway, and the puck went off his stick and over his shoulder and into the goal. What? The hockey gods need to smile upon us. We deserve it. This team feels like it's so freaking close. Yeah, I paused for a minute to see what word I was going to use. Just could we please, in the second half of the season, please, can Borgen-Kakko be amazing? And I think I have his goal call, and I think we're going to sing it. And just some puck luck. Just something. Have you noticed? Go back and look over this first half of the season. 0 puck luck. That's it. I love you guys. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. See you at Climate Pledge.
Thank you, Chet, for that excellent KRAKTIVUS grievance. And now it's my turn, the villain. Yes, I will bring on the fullness of that villain that Derek once mentioned previously. And we're just going to take this in stride, but we're going to just embrace it. Now, my grievance is not with the players, not with the coach. Ron Francis, the man, the myth, the legend. Some say he could be a mafia boss, but what I really just see him is a, scared, lost little puppy that's not really willing to make an actual move to make this team a viable playoff contender. We talk about the fact that, yeah, we signed Brandon Montour. Yeah, we signed Chandler Stevenson. Two great signings, way over budget, but that's something that we can talk about down the line when that comes into effect. You know, we continue to fall and fall and fall in the standings. And what do we see? Crickets. Yeah, sure, we can talk about the positivity of acquiring Kakko, but have you seen how many forwards we have on this damn team? We have a lot. And realistically, and no offense to all the players, I love them all. They're like second or third line players at best. This team does not have a superstar. This team doesn't have scoring. Our highest goal scorer has 12 goals. Thank you, Jared McCann, Father Canner. You do you. But if I'm Ron Francis, show a little backbone, do something that will make, the entire NHL go, wow, he's got some stones, because he's clearly got none, because he hasn't done anything that's really perpetuated that type of move. And now we're here, and, just keep doing what we're doing. And, the basement's a little bit closer than the playoffs. So come on, 76 points. Let's make it happen.
And I just want to throw out there, if anyone listening has a Kraken grievance that they want to get off their chest, head over to Twitter or Blue Sky. We'll have the link to this episode pinned at the top. Give us a little reply in the comments. Let us know what you're thinking. Or if you're on something like Spotify, there is a comment option. Drop it below. Give us something to talk about amongst ourselves, knowing that we are not alone in our frustrations with this team.
And now we're going into Desert Dialogues. Well, that positivity didn't exist here either, because we didn't win any games here as well. But we're going to recap them, because we're all about embracing all our franchises. So the first game the Firebirds played was Wednesday, December 18th against the San Jose Barracuda in a 5-2 loss. Logan Morrison scored his fourth goal of the season 34 seconds into the game. It was assisted by Ville Ottavainen and Leighton Road. John Hayden scored his sixth goal of the season on a power play with 14:51 into the second period, assisted by Ben Meyer and Brandon Biro. Coachella outshot the Barracuda, but also spent significant time in the penalty box, causing 3 of the 5 goals scored by San Jose.
And Friday, December 20th, the Firebirds played against the Ontario Reign. It was a 4-1 loss. Yanni Neiman scored his 9th goal of the season, 12 minutes and 32 seconds into the first period. It was assisted by Ben Myers and Nick Brouillard. And then that was the end of the scoring for the Firebirds. They had a lot of chances that they just couldn't convert on, and the Reign scored an empty netter and just put it away 4-1. So another loss, unfortunately, against the Ontario Reign.
But wait, the fun didn't stop there. Saturday, December 21st, against the Ontario Reign again, the Firebirds lost 4-2. Leighton Rhodes scored the first goal of the game at 9:04 into the first, assisted by Ryan Winter is Coming Winterton and Ty Nelson. And the Firebirds' only other goal came in the first as well. Brandon Burrow scored at 16:59, assisted by Yager, the Furcus. No, we're going to go with that. And Ryan Jones.
So not a great week for the Firebirds, but if you do want to watch them this upcoming week, they're taking a little bit of a break for the holiday, but they do play Friday, December 27th at the Bakerfield Condors and Saturday, December 28th, again against the Ontario Reign. And our top Firebirds this week, we have John Hayden, who have 17 points in 24 games. Ryan Winterton and Yanni Neiman both have 16 points. Winterton did that 19 games. I'm glad he's back. Yanni Neiman in 27 games. And Yager Fergus and Max Lajoie both have 15 points. Fergus in 27th games and Lajoie in 28 games.
In the AHL standings, the Firebirds have bombed and dropped down to 6th in the Pacific Division with 30 points. They haven't moved. They didn't win this week. But the race is tight. The Colorado Eagles have 31 points. The Ontario Reign and the Tucson Roadrunners both have 32 points. The San Jose Barracuda have 34 points. And the Calgary Wranglers are sitting at the top with 41 points. Aside, I called them Tucson. Yes, I know they're Tucson. We're gonna just accept it. It's yeah.
Let it be.
As soon as I said it, I was like, that was wrong.
So it shall be.
Tucson.
Quick aside for a shout out to the Kansas City Mavericks for getting the only Kraken related win this week. Big W's to them. Maybe we'll become a KC Mavericks fan cast. Heather, it's going to be a brief week for the Kraken with the holidays and all, but what is it going to look like this week coming up?
the Kraken get a well-needed, maybe not deserved, but well-needed holiday break, and then they come back and play on Saturday, December 28th in Vancouver, and that is a 1 p.m. Pacific start.
All right, and it's the holiday season, folks. So, as a present to my Beneath the Waves family, I wanted to share a little something with you. So, this is an audio medium, but for those who are listening, let me just describe to you that right now I am changing my background to me sitting in front of the fireplace because we're going to get nice and warm and cozy as I offer you a dramatic reading of The Pod Before Christmas. So, get your favorite cup of hot chocolate, curl up in a warm blanket, and buckle in, folks. 'Twas the pod before Christmas, and all through the Zoom, the gang was real merry, great vibes in the room. Matt's jerseys were hung in the closet with care, in hopes that botched labeling soon wouldn't be there. Heather was cozy, with bubbles nearby, a pearl at her feet, with zoomies she flies. And Alex up north, while buried in snow, is locked on World Juniors. Look at those baby squids go. Last, we have Derek, with beanie and sunglasses, fighting Gru haters, kicking all of their asses. KRAKTIVUS just wrapped, much fun was had. They aired all their grievances, some were big mad. But now they have settled, and what's that they hear? It sounds like some footsteps. Could it be reindeer? They clambered to the roof, somehow still on Zoom, where they saw Open Toes land, kicking up snow with a boom. It was Santa Bowie, his bag full of toys, great presents and tidings for the BTW girl and boys. The troll turned with great shock. They gave him a start, but he opened his arms, and a hug warmed up their hearts. He gave each a box. Now what could it be? He said, "You mustn't open. Place those under the tree." Santa Bowie was in a hurry. He must fly away. With a squeak of his nose, he jumped back in his sleigh. He sat in his seat, grabbing the reins. With his bellowing voice, he called out their names. Now JT, now Ian, now Mike, Al, and Everett. On Allison, Piper, and Linda. On Forsland and Olchek. The sleigh started to move, ready to take flight. Santa Bowie had many more homes to visit that night. The players and coaches, the trainers and staff, they needed their presence. There was no time for riff-raff. As he took off, Santa Bowie let out a shout. "Before I am gone, I must get one more thing out. Please don't forget the most important thing I have to say. Please leave 5-star reviews and subscribe to @BTWSEA. Merry Christmas, team. Happy holidays."
Yeah, A plus, like a
That
freaking
was the
plus.
coolest thing I've ever experienced.
Although Santa Bowie's voice is a little scary.
I don't know what Bowie sounds like, so
The broadcast team being the reindeer.
Yeah,
is
that's
absolutely
wild.
thank you. Thank you. Derek, do you want to close things out, or is that what we're going with, buddy?
Dude, what's crazy is like I was like, what am I gonna do tonight? And I literally wrote like a 2-line poem, and it's so funny because that just like completely shows it up. So no, we're good. We're good with that.
All right, gang. Well, we are taking this week off for the holidays. There's not much Kraken action happening anyway. But from all of us here at Beneath the Waves to all of you who have us in your ears, we hope you have a nice, calm, refreshing, Kraken-free holiday season. And we will see you next time we're in your audio feed.
We going beneath